Good morning, students of class 9. Welcome back to the online classes now. I hope you are going through the online portal every day so that you will not miss your classes. Now, today we are doing English, The Happy Prince. This chapter is from Supplementary Reader. So now, in our previous class, we have learned a little bit about introduction. About the introduction, he was a happy prince. He lived and died like that. He had never seen the misery and the sorrows and problems of his people. And when his statue was erected in the center of the city, and he had seen the misery for the first time. And what happens after that? Now, let's begin now. There are altogether 6 points I have written over here. So the first one, he was a prince. Naturally, he belonged to the royal family. He was a prince when he was alive. When he was alive, he was a prince, a very young prince. Being a prince, he never knew sorrow and misery and suffering. Misery, suffering and problems were not allowed to enter the palace. Since he was a prince, he had a number of servants. There was no problem. He never faced any problems, or he had never seen the problems, miseries, and he even had no idea what problems and miseries are. He never shed his tear when he was alive. He never cried. He always remained happy. He laughed around, ran around in the palace. He used to play, jump in the garden, inside the palace, among the courtiers. He was always happy. So the courtiers, the ministers and the people who were in the palace called him Happy Prince. That's why everyone called him Happy Prince. So in this way he lived and he died. He died very young. So after that, after his death, a statue of him was erected in the center of the city as a remembrance. A statue of him was erected in the center of the city on a high column, on a high post. There was a very high post, and on top of the post, the statue of Happy Prince was kept, installed there. Installed means kept there. He was covered with gold leaves. His body was full of gold leaves, thin sheet of gold, pieces of gold. It was fully covered. It was golden. He was covered with gold leaves and had sapphire. Sapphire means the blue stones. In Hindi we call neelam. He had sapphires for eyes. For eyes, precious costly stones were there. Sapphire. And ruby, a red stone. Ruby, studded. Studded means fixed. Studded on the hilt of the sword. Hilt means handle. On the handle of the sword there was a big ruby, red, precious, costly stones. He looked very beautiful in the statue. He saw the miserable condition of his people around when he was placed on top of the column. Now he could see the misery and the suffering of the people, and this was the first time he had seen. When he was alive, he never had the chance to see and experience this type of misery and suffering of the people because he lived inside the palace. But now he is outside the palace in the center of the city on a high column. Now he is also a statue. Now he could see the misery and suffering of the people. He saw the miserable condition of his people around. For the first time, this was the first time he was seeing all these things. As he is a statue, now he is a statue. He cannot move. He is not alive. As he is a statue, he could not help but weep. He could not do anything except weep. So he could cry. Weep means cry. At the meantime, a swallow was flying to Egypt. A swallow, a migratory bird, was flying to Egypt. The bird was alone as his relatives and friends had already migrated to Egypt. He was left behind the flock. Flock means the group of a large group of birds. He was left behind. He was alone and he was flying to Egypt. As the winter was approaching, he was going to a warmer place. Egypt is a warmer place. So he was flying to Egypt. As he was alone, his flocks, his friends and relatives had already migrated to Egypt. The swallow approaches the city. While he was migrating, the swallow approached the city, and it was quite late in the evening. He was trying to find a shelter to keep for the night. So the swallow approached the city and was trying to look for a shelter, to stay for one night, so that early in the morning he could again migrate, he could fly to stay for the night. He was searching for a safe place. The swallow landed means came down. While he was flying, he came down, alighted. The swallow perched at the feet of the happy prince. Perched means sat down. There was a platform, and at the feet of the happy prince, he landed there. As it was high and safe from predators. Predators means the enemy, such as cats and other animals. So as the statue was placed on a high platform, on the high column, it was quite safe, and the swallow thought he will put up for the night there, and early in the morning he will again carry on his journey. So thinking, he landed at the feet of the happy prince, as it was high and safe from the enemies or the predators. So what happens after that, we will continue in our lesson next day, in our next class tomorrow. So now the story starts with the happy prince and the swallow. So now here, this much for today. You have 6 points over here, a very short video. You can go through it every day so that you can understand and remember things clearly, so you won't have any problem. Only thing, you need to understand the story very clearly and keep it in your mind. So what happens? So that's all for today. We'll meet in the next class and continue our lesson. That's all. Stay safe. Go through online portal every day. You should not waste your time. So that's all for today. You need to build a career. You need to have a bright future. And for that, you must go through the online portal. Carry on your study all the time. That much I can say right now. That's all for today. We'll meet in the next class and carry on our lesson further. So that's all for today. Thank you for watching.